Washington conceals deep-rooted secrets, veiled within dense woodlands, rushing rivers, cavernous depths, and volcanic peaks. From sacred indigenous ancestral grounds and subterranean lava corridors to cataclysmic Ice Age topographies and peculiar folklore, this region harbors chronicles vastly predating contemporary records. Certain ancient sanctuaries lay submerged, others completely obliterated, while a few endure in profound stillness, enveloped by enigmas remaining entirely unresolved.
Nestled within the southeastern territory of Washington, enveloped by arid undulating knolls and vast agrarian fields, there exists a cascading torrent that feels utterly incongruous with its surroundings. The enveloping terrain appears deceptively tranquil initially. Immense heavens, serene prairies, and persistent breezes sweeping across desolate expanses. Suddenly, the crust fractures violently into a plunging chasm, and white water thunders into the shadowy abyss below. This is Palouse Falls. Honestly, when travelers encounter it for the first time, the sheer theatricality of the vista leaves them stunned, because nothing in the preceding topography prepares you for such a spectacle. The roaring torrent plunges nearly 200 feet into a fractured stone basin, carved from monumental, ancient basalt precipices. The thunderous resonance echoes relentlessly against the amphitheater walls. Translucent mist ascends into the atmosphere, while the Palouse River snakes through the gloomy canyon floor below. Yet, what truly infuses Palouse Falls with an enigmatic aura is more than its striking visual composition. It is the haunting intuition that an environment like this simply shouldn't exist where it does. The surrounding topography feels almost unnatural, as though it were forcefully ruptured by some gargantuan primitive energy in the distant past. In reality, that is precisely what transpired.
Geologists confirm that the entire province framing Palouse Falls was sculpted by one of the most cataclysmic natural events ever recorded across North America. Millennia ago, apocalyptic Ice Age deluges tore across this geography with incomprehensible momentum. These torrents erupted when colossal glacial ice dams abruptly shattered, unleashing towering walls of water that surged across the Pacific Northwest. We are not discussing minor overflows here. These were literal inland oceans racing at highway velocities. Once you conceptualize that scale, the perplexing landscape suddenly crystallizes. The profound gorge, the bizarre monolithic towers, the solitary waterfalls marooned amidst parched rangeland. These represent the enduring scars left behind by devastating superfloods, powerful enough to alter the architecture of entire states. Personally, I believe this understanding renders the destination even more haunting, because when you stand beside Palouse Falls today, the atmosphere feels remarkably tranquil, gorgeous even. Beneath that superficial splendor, however, lies undeniable evidence of prehistoric destruction on a magnitude that the human intellect struggles to fully register.
The gorge itself projects immense antiquity. The tiered basalt ramparts are dark and heavily layered, chronicling the volcanic epochs of the region, long before the glacial floods arrived. Over subsequent millennia, water persistently excavated deeper pathways into the bedrock, gradually refining the cascade into the monument modern sightseers observe today. Yet the grander mystique emanates from the peculiar distortion of time experienced there. Palouse Falls feels exponentially more ancient than typical landmarks. This isn't old in a historical context, like a vacant homestead or a crumbling archaeological city. It is old in a profound geological sense, as though the very earth harbors a memory of a violent epoch that humanity was never intended to behold. Furthermore, the local Native American oral histories tied to this landscape possess profound cultural resonance. For untold generations, these waters held vital importance for the indigenous inhabitants of the region, specifically the Palouse people. The waterway sustained life, offering sustenance, transit corridors, and survival.
Simultaneously, the gorge possessed immense spiritual sanctity. Environments forged by dominant natural forces naturally became interwoven with ancestral legends, cautionary tales, and deep reverence.
That cultural reverence remains intensely relevant today because Palouse Falls can transform into a lethal environment with terrifying speed. Throughout the years, numerous sightseers have fatally underestimated the treacherous terrain bordering the precipices and the roiling river. Some have ventured past safety boundaries onto unstable perches, trying to capture photographs. Others have attempted perilous high dives or recreational swimming within the churning, violent vortices churning beneath the drop. Tragically, multiple fatalities have occurred here. This grim reality introduces a somber dimension to the enigma enshrouding the park. The cataract captivates mankind with its pristine magnificence, yet it simultaneously reminds onlookers with sobering immediacy that nature is entirely indifferent to human bravado. The rock faces composing the canyon can crumble unexpectedly. Established footpaths become perilous. Severe, unseen undercurrents shift erratically through the narrow gorge. Once an individual slips into specific high-risk zones, emergency extraction becomes virtually impossible. A peculiar paradox manifests at landmarks of this nature.
Human beings are instinctively mesmerized by raw, dramatic topographies, particularly those possessing a wild, uncompromised essence. Yet those identical environments frequently conceal lethal hazards. Palouse Falls exemplifies this duality perfectly. Frankly, the overarching mood undergoes a dramatic metamorphosis depending on shifting weather patterns. Under summer afternoon skies, radiant sunlight illuminates the chasm beautifully. The cascading current glistens brilliantly against the charcoal cliffs. Tourists congregate at designated lookouts, capturing digital memories, while the wind rustles through the parched grasslands overhead. However, beneath overcast firmaments or during twilight, the location assumes a completely altered persona. The gorge darkens ominously. Elongated shadows creep across the stone battlements. The roar of the tumbling river intensifies audibly. The profound isolation becomes infinitely more palpable. Once night descends, the territory feels extraordinarily disconnected from modern life. Minimal artificial illumination exists in the vicinity. The open plateaus surrounding the chasm sink into absolute quiet, save for the whistling wind and the unrelenting rush of water. Standing there under the starlight, it honestly feels like peering over the threshold of another world. This extreme isolation undoubtedly allowed ancient mythologies to persist across the territory. Over the decades, various wayfarers have reported strange psychological shifts while lingering near the torrent. Not explicitly supernatural occurrences, but visceral emotional responses, an undercurrent of vulnerability, an uncanny sensation of being monitored by the topography itself. Conversely, others report an unexpected wave of serenity washing over them while gazing down from the rim. Personally, I believe monumental natural landscapes exert a psychological influence on the human mind in ways science cannot completely quantify. The staggering scale of the amphitheater, the hypnotic rhythm of crashing water, the acute awareness of peril, the isolation. All of these factors naturally manipulate human consciousness. Unlike contemporary attractions engineered explicitly for commercial amusement, Palouse Falls remains completely detached from and indifferent to human spectatorship. That detachment infuses the landmark with profound authenticity. This mystery isn't artificially manufactured. It emanates directly from the bedrock itself.
One detail many contemporary travelers fail to appreciate is how genuinely isolated these falls used to be. Long before vehicular infrastructure expanded, accessing this destination was an arduous ordeal. Explorers traversing eastern Washington historically characterized the surrounding expanse as intimidatingly vast and vacant. Never-ending hills, parched winds, and an immense sky stretching toward every horizon. Then, completely unannounced, this colossal abyss manifested before them. One can easily conceptualize how startling that revelation must have felt before modern navigation systems and asphalt routes existed. Even today, the vehicular journey toward Palouse Falls sustains a palpable sensation of leaving civilization behind. Highways slice through monoculture fields and desolate plains for miles before the terrain suddenly ruptures. Furthermore, because the waterfall exists as an isolated anomaly rather than nestled within a prominent alpine chain, it projects an even stranger visual profile. Most observers instinctively expect monumental waterfalls to reside within dense alpine forests or jagged peaks.
Yet Palouse Falls erupts from an arid tableland almost inexplicably. This stark juxtaposition bestows it with a singular identity. It feels wonderfully concealed. Another compelling reason for the waterfall's fame is its improbable survival through the catastrophic glacial deluges themselves. Geologists hypothesize that the cascade progressively migrated upstream over epochs as the rushing floodwaters systematically carved deeper pathways into the landscape. Viewed through this lens, Palouse Falls represents an enduring monument to prehistoric geological chaos. That narrative of endurance injects an emotional gravitas into the destination. Standing on the precipice, peering into the abyss, you are directly confronting physical evidence of monumental energies that literally refashioned entire geographical territories. Yet, through it all, the cascade persists. There is something profoundly humbling about that reality. Human chronologies shrink into insignificance when measured against geological time. A millennium feels incredibly ancient to our species. However, the geology anchoring Palouse Falls has been shifting for millions of years via volcanic cataclysms, megafloods, continuous erosion, seismic tremors, and global climate transitions. Deep within southern Washington, near the woodlands cradling Mount St. Helens, lies a sanctuary operating on an entirely different frequency from the bustling outer world. Here, the canopy grows dense, and the atmosphere carries a damp, chilling scent. Even at high noon, specific pockets of this forest maintain an eerie twilight, and concealed beneath this rugged terrain rests one of North America's longest continuous volcanic conduits, a subterranean marvel known as Ape Cave. Now, that title instantly sparks a sense of intrigue. Upon hearing it, most minds immediately conjure images of hidden subterranean beasts. Some visualize monstrous entities dwelling throughout the absolute blackness beneath the volcano. Others link the cavern to ancient Bigfoot lore that has saturated the Pacific Northwest for centuries. Honestly, standing before the yawning entrance, one easily discerns how such vivid folklore endured through time.
The gaping threshold itself feels profoundly intense. Traversing tranquil wilderness paths bordered by towering evergreens and basalt formations, the terrain abruptly fractures into a dark abyss. Freezing air ascends from the depths. The microclimate shifts instantaneously. It behaves almost as if the earth is exhaling. Descending into that shadow, the familiar sunlit world simply evaporates. The initial sensation striking explorers inside Ape Cave is the profound quiet. This is no ordinary absence of noise. It is a heavy, almost tangible stillness wrapping around you. Footsteps resonate sharply against the basalt floor, while your flashlight's beam swallows itself in the forward void. This volcanic corridor spans over 2 miles beneath the earth. Unlike heavily modified commercial caverns illuminated by artificial lights and paved paths, Ape Cave remains beautifully raw, primitive, and untamed.
These walls comprise coarse volcanic rock forged millennia ago during cataclysmic eruptions of Mount St. Helens. Geologists established that this tube formed roughly 2,000 years ago, when scorching lava surged down the slopes. The outer crust solidified first, while the molten interior continued racing underneath. Eventually, the glowing liquid drained completely out, leaving behind the massive hollow gallery that adventurers navigate today. Yet, understanding the geological mechanics does not diminish the uncanny sensation of walking down there, because Ape Cave never feels lifeless. It feels primordial. The subterranean darkness is absolute. Extinguishing your artificial light renders you incapable of seeing a hand directly before your face. Modern existence offers precious few environments where darkness manifests with such terrifying purity. The human brain genuinely struggles to comprehend such sensory deprivation, and this profound isolation impacts everyone uniquely. Certain wanderers find the cave deeply serene. Others find it suffocating after prolonged exposure. Advancing deeper into this basalt artery, your connection to the upper world completely dissolves. No sunlight penetrates, cellular signals vanish, and no noise exists, save for rhythmic dripping water and distant hollow reverberations.
Occasionally, the volcanic ceiling soars upward, mimicking a colossal subterranean cathedral sculpted from obsidian stone. Conversely, adjacent passages constrict dramatically, forcing explorers to maneuver cautiously over fragmented rock heaps deposited by ancient ceiling collapses. That unforgiving terrain serves to keep the primordial mystique alive. This environment refuses to feel sanitized or controlled. Even today, it retains its wild essence. Furthermore, the chronicle behind its naming holds a fascinating twist. Contrary to popular assumptions, the cavern was not named because hominid beasts inhabited its depths. The moniker actually originated from a youth group called the Mount St. Helens Apes. During the 1950s, this local outdoor organization actively explored the wilderness surrounding the majestic peaks. Several members harbored a fascination with Sasquatch sightings, which were actively gaining traction across the Pacific Northwest back then. In time, the cavern became inextricably linked to those mysteries. Once Bigfoot mythology attaches itself to a pitch-black volcanic tunnel buried beneath endless wilderness, the legend naturally begins propagating its own momentum.
Throughout decades, countless peculiar encounters have been whispered by travelers. Some swear they detected phantom footsteps echoing deep within the passages when utterly alone. Others report low, guttural vibrations or distant thuds defying logical explanation. A handful of explorers even recount an unsettling sensation of being watched while navigating the lower channels. Personally, I suspect most of these chilling experiences stem from the subterranean environment itself. Sensory deprivation fundamentally alters human cognition. Total silence manipulates the psyche. Spending extended periods underground causes your imagination to heighten significantly. Nevertheless, I entirely validate why people experience vulnerability down there. Ape Cave exerts an undeniable psychological weight. Your subconscious remains acutely aware of being buried. It recognizes that millions of tons of volcanic basalt press directly above your skull. It understands that escape paths are severely restricted. Even exceptionally composed individuals experience bouts of anxiety after enduring prolonged periods inside. Frankly, particular chambers are genuinely daunting. One notorious segment of the technical upper route features a monumental cluster of collapsed volcanic boulders, colloquially termed the meatball. Hikers must scramble upward over slick, steep rock faces enveloped by absolute shadow. The surfaces remain moist, the air stays freezing. A singular misstep could easily result in severe injury. That inherent peril intensifies the mystique. Unlike contemporary attractions engineered for safety, this place serves as a stark reminder that nature remains beautifully volatile and supreme. This subterranean system garnered heightened fame following the historic 1980 eruption of Mount St. Helens. That cataclysm drastically reshaped the surrounding geography. Ancient forests leveled instantly. Volcanic ash buried vast landscapes. Entire ecosystems assumed a completely alien aesthetic afterward. Astonishingly, Ape Cave survived unscathed. While the mountain detonated violently above, this basalt sanctuary remained safely cradled beneath the chaos.
In a poetic sense, the cavern stood as a silent witness to devastation, and that eruption only heightened the enigmatic aura enveloping this entire territory. Even now, Mount St. Helens feels intensely alive. Plumes of steam regularly vent from the volcanic crater. Geophysicists perpetually monitor its seismic pulse. The peak projects an aura of latent danger that visitors register immediately upon arrival.
Ape Cave rests squarely within that volatile domain, that profound intersection of fire, darkness, ruin, and endurance grants this cavern a far richer resonance than conventional commercial tourist spots. There is something fundamentally timeless about lava conduits. Walking through these chambers, you actively retrace the path of a roaring river of fire that once cascaded down the mountain. The volcano projects an aura of latent danger that visitors register immediately upon arrival. Ape Cave rests squarely within that volatile domain. That profound intersection of fire, darkness, ruin, and endurance grants this cavern a far richer resonance than conventional commercial tourist spots. There is something fundamentally timeless about lava conduits. Walking through these chambers, you actively retrace the path of a roaring river of fire that once cascaded down the mountain. The boundaries encapsulating you consisted of liquid stone hot enough to incinerate anything blocking its trajectory. Today, they endure, cold and motionless, underground. That stark dichotomy remains challenging to articulate unless experienced firsthand.
1 minute you occupy absolute stillness, yet the very architecture enclosing you was forged by apocalyptic violence thousands of years prior. Honestly, I believe that paradox is precisely why the tunnel captivates so many souls. It breathes like a calcified memory of the planet itself. The surrounding old-growth forests merely amplify this hauntingly beautiful atmosphere. The Pacific Northwest inherently commands a legacy of inscrutable mysteries. Endless timberlines, rolling fog, heavy rainfall, secluded peaks, enduring Sasquatch lore, accounts of phantom aerial lights, and baffling disappearances. Regardless of factual validity, this moody environment naturally cultivates human creativity. Ape Cave integrates flawlessly into that mystique. When night falls, the encompassing wilderness transitions into absolute blackness. Breezes rustle through the dense canopy. Wilderness vocalizations resonate across the volcanic foothills. It becomes transparently clear why early explorers authored tales concerning unclassified predators lurking throughout the territory. Even today, seasoned backpackers occasionally recount anomalous occurrences near Mount St. Helens. Most possess rational explanations, yet mystery thrives grandest where the natural world still dwarfs humanity.
Another captivating element regarding this destination involves how differently explorers react psychologically upon exiting. Some emerge vibrant, thrilled, and completely revitalized. Conversely, others display visceral relief upon greeting honest daylight. That psychological spectrum illuminates the cave's true potency. It confronts human emotion directly. Modernity subjects humanity to relentless, frantic stimulation. Telephones, digital monitors, gridlock, and omnipresent luminescence dominate daily life. Yet deep inside Ape Cave, that artificiality dissolves completely. You are stripped down to basic elements: shadow, stone, and silence. For specific souls, this brings profound tranquility. For others, it triggers deep psychological unrest. Currently, Ape Cave endures as one of Washington's premier geological landmarks. The park is managed conscientiously, allowing adventurers to investigate both the accessible lower flat and challenging upper routes during operational seasons. Forestry officials monitor structural safety diligently, particularly because subterranean environments can rapidly imperil individuals who enter reckless or under-equipped. The staircases and structural access points are significantly more refined than past decades, yet the core matrix retains its primitive spirit the moment you venture deep.
Gazing upon the serpentine stretches of the Snake River in southeastern Washington today, the surrounding terrain projects a profound stillness that masterfully shrouds its ancient secrets. The undulating hills are parched and immensely vast. Persistent winds sweep across the rangeland. The river cuts through the topography with a slow, deliberate grace, and for expansive distances, an observer can scan the horizon and detect virtually no inkling that millennia of vibrant human existence once unfolded across this very ground. Yet, concealed beneath deep accumulations of sediment and collapsed stone, rested one of the most monumental archaeological revelations ever realized in North America, a sanctuary universally recognized as the Marmez Rock Shelter. What infuses this specific location with an otherworldly mystique is not merely its staggering antiquity. It is the palpable sensation that an entire tapestry of human experience lay entombed there for thousands of years, undisturbed, completely unremembered, silently awaiting the hands that would finally liberate its narrative.
This primitive geological alcove sat nestled along the lower Snake River basin, safely shielded beneath a massive, protective basalt cliff overhang. Initially, to an untrained eye, the site offered no grand visual spectacle. It boasted no monolithic temples or subterranean stone cities swallowed by dense jungle growth. Indeed, countless travelers could have walked directly past the alcove without ever conceptualizing the immense historical weight anchoring its soil, proving that the most profound mysteries of our world are frequently cloaked in entirely ordinary settings. The site derived its moniker from the pioneering archaeologist Richard Doherty and the local Marmez family, who held title to the surrounding homestead. In the early 1960s, researchers initiated systematic excavations here, primarily anticipating the recovery of basic seasonal Native American hunting camps. What materialized from the dirt fundamentally startled the scientific community. Succeeding strata of human chronicle began emerging from the dark earth. Handcrafted stone implements, charcoal-stained hearths from ancient campfires, fragmented faunal remains, and ancestral human burials all materialized, demonstrating that humanity had occupied this specific pocket of the continent for an astonishingly protracted lineage.
As teams excavated deeper into the earth, the recovered antiquities aged exponentially. At specific thresholds, the cultural deposits yielded dates extending beyond 10 millennia. This revelation utterly shattered conventional paradigms regarding early human migration across North America. For generations, the prevailing scientific consensus maintained that the continent's foundational human presence was strictly tied to the Clovis culture. Yet the Marmez Rock Shelter presented a far more intricate, layered reality. It strongly implied that human communities were thriving in this Pacific Northwest ecosystem significantly earlier than established timelines allowed, igniting an academic controversy that still reverberates across modern anthropological circles. Visualize standing alongside those dedicated field researchers during those pioneering 20th century excavations. Every few centimeters of carefully sifted soil unveiled yet another intimate snapshot of human life preserved from deep time. You weren't simply extracting inanimate artifacts, you were resurrecting fleeting moments. An artisan meticulously knapping a stone blade beside a roaring fire.
A provider processing river bounty along the shoreline. Intimate families enduring harsh winters, catastrophic floods, devastating droughts, and unrecorded perils eons before the advent of written language. That profound continuity is precisely why this sanctuary commands such immense wonder. It forces you to recognize how fleeting and minuscule modern civilization truly is when juxtaposed against the expansive timeline of human existence.
The individuals who once sought refuge beneath this overhang navigated a radically different reality. There were no highways, no urban centers, no artificial grids. The solitary symphonies piercing the midnight darkness would have been the howling wind, wild predators, water churning through the river channel,
and the low murmur of human voices huddled close together beneath the stone canopy. Researchers unearthed definitive proof that this sanctuary was occupied repeatedly across thousands of years. Distinct cultural groups returned to this precise geological haven generation after generation. That enduring fidelity underscores an essential truth. This specific location possessed immense strategic value. It offered reliable sanctuary from tempestuous weather, immediate proximity to vital aquatic resources, and an ideal defensive vantage point for survival.
Concurrently, it evokes a profoundly ghostly sensation when pondered deeply. Reflect upon the sheer volume of human souls that transitioned through that stone shelter. Thousands of intimate conversations, thousands of dark nights, births, passings, paralyzing fear, enduring hope, acute hunger, and triumphant survival. Virtually all of it dissolved into thin air without a formal chronicle. Only scattered fragments endured to speak for them. One of the most monumental discoveries realized at the Marmaze rock shelter involved human skeletal remains of immense antiquity. These fragments represented some of the oldest well-documented human remains ever unearthed in the Western Hemisphere at that time. That singular reality catapulted the site into international scientific prominence. Global specialists rushed to evaluate the data. Historians fiercely debated its implications, and mainstream media outlets broadcasted the excavations heavily throughout the 1960s. However, the drama enshrouding the sanctuary took an ominous turn due to imminent geopolitical developments. Around that identical historical juncture, the United States government was actively engineering the Lower Monumental Dam further down the Snake River.
This massive infrastructure initiative would inevitably inundate expansive tracts of the adjacent valley. Scientists realized with mounting dread that they possessed a desperately narrow window to study the rock shelter before rising reservoir waters swallowed it whole, triggering a frantic race against time. Field crews worked with feverish intensity to salvage as much data as humanly possible. They understood with absolute certainty that this priceless archive could vanish permanently beneath mud and water. In many ways, that overwhelming pressure infused the excavation with raw emotion. Imagine unearthing the literal foundations of American human history while explicitly knowing it was destined for a watery grave. That is precisely the tragedy that unfolded. Despite the undeniable historical importance of the discoveries, the engineering project advanced, and the valley was systematically flooded. Today, the vast majority of the original rock shelter rests submerged beneath the reservoir. This reality invests the geographic area with an incredibly haunting atmosphere.
One of North America's premier archaeological cradles now sits drowned beneath feet of water, entirely inaccessible to the species whose history it preserved. Honestly, it feels like an immense tragedy. The vast majority of contemporary citizens have never even heard the name Marmaze Rock Shelter. Had this site survived in an environment accessible to the public, it would likely be revered on par with the great ancient wonders of the world. Instead, its legacy was sacrificed beneath a reservoir. There is something deeply unsettling about that paradox. Human heritage enduring for over 10,000 years, only to be obliterated by modern engineering within a matter of decades. Preservationists still debate whether sufficient measures were enacted to insulate the site before the flooding occurred. Others counter that the dam provided essential economic vitality that regional communities desperately required at the time. It stands as a textbook example of a collision between ancient heritage and modern development. Personally, I view the loss of the physical site as a monumental wound, not merely from a research perspective, but emotionally. Places of this magnitude anchor modern humanity to something older, wiser, and deeper. Once they are drowned, they can never truly be reclaimed.
Furthermore, numerous unanswered questions still linger in the depths. how many priceless antiquities remain entombed beneath the reservoir today? Were there deeper cultural strata that archaeologists never possessed the time to reach? Could there have been even older footprints of humanity buried beneath the lowest excavated floor? No one can say with absolute certainty. That haunting ambiguity is foundational to its mystique. Certain scholars believed the site held the potential to completely revolutionize our understanding of early human migration into the Americas. Others urged scientific caution, yet virtually everyone conceded that the findings were nothing short of extraordinary. When you examine the data meticulously, you recognize that the Marmaze rock shelter was not a solitary point in time. It represented thousands of years stacked meticulously on top of each other, precisely like the parchment pages of a buried book. One distinct layer illuminated a single generation. The overlying stratum revealed a completely different community occupying the space centuries later. Then another and another, stretching upward through time. Extremely few environments on Earth preserve the human narrative with such flawless stratigraphic purity.
The hyper-arid microclimate beneath the stone overhang helped safeguard perishable organic materials unusually well. This exceptional preservation allowed researchers to analyze fragile materials that typically would have decayed into nothingness eons ago. Minute details survived that offered invaluable clues regarding prehistoric diet, tool manufacturing, hunting strategies, and domestic life. For instance, discarded animal bones illuminated exactly what species these populations hunted and consumed. Stone implements chronicled the gradual evolution of human technology over vast epochs. Ancient hearths exposed patterns of repeated seasonal occupation. Even fossilized pollen samples assisted scientists in reconstructing what the surrounding wilderness looked like thousands of years ago. The ecosystem itself would have appeared drastically different back then. The regional climate fluctuated over the millennia. Megafauna migrated through the valley along entirely different pathways. Rivers shifted their courses. Entire ecological systems slowly morphed while human beings resourcefully adapted generation after generation. That epic saga of long-term survival is honestly one of the most awe-inspiring elements of this entire mystery.